Responsible and ethical use of AI. That's our Techstination. Joining us is the founder of AI2030 and FinTech for Good, Xiaochen Zhang. A pleasure to meet you.
Thank you for the invite, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Well, you've become a leader on this issue and formerly led Amazon Web Services Global Innovation Team. So tell us more about the organizations AI2030 and FinTech for Good.
Yeah, so after I left AWS and then I started AI2030, and we're from the AI2030, our main mission is trying to mainstream responsible AI, and we believe that is urgent. So when you see the name 2030 is basically as an aspiration. And by 2030, we hope that any AI will be responsible AI, and AI and responsible AI two categories disappear, and humanity are not negatively impacted by AI.
When you say negatively impacted by AI, what are your chief concerns here?
Yeah, we developed a responsible AI framework, and which includes 6 pillars. And transparency, accountability, safety and security, fairness, privacy preservation, and sustainability. So within each pillar, as you can see, we're talking about very different things. And from, I can dive deep, but we can just also move on.
Well, if you're pushing for these things, obviously, those are the goals that we would all like to see. What about enforcement? I mean, we're talking about a global effort to advance AI. How does one enforce the responsible and ethical use of it?
Yeah, so there that we are talking about mostly is the 2 dimension, push and pull, right? And from the push side is just we're from compliance, from the regulation, and just from EU level. Then there's the EU AI Act, which was just ratified by the EU just recently, and we released a report on that. And naturally, then EU set a timeline for the organizations to comply. So that gave a lot of clarity regarding what is the requirement from the government side. Then in other countries, and where a national law is not available yet, and then there's a lot of lawmaking process at both in the US, for example, at the federal level and the state level. There's a lot of lawmaking process is just either already being introduced or in process to be formulated. And then internationally, and then we have seen that AI related law covering different issues emerging, like from Brazil, from China, from all the major countries. And so there, that's from the push side, definitely we need clarity from the regulator how AI should and need to be regulated. And then there's the legal enforcement part of that, and also policy enforcement. Then the other side is really pull, where voluntarily and how the consumers, citizens, corporate, taking different action, which is not for the sake of compliance, but just for the sake of belief, vision, mission, and then to align behavior. And we, at the Chicago AI conference coming up next week, are going to soft launch our responsible AI pledge. This is one way for us to really do the pull, where that's helping company to translate the whole responsible AI related research, development, deployment process into smaller voluntary steps. And then the corporate can take those voluntary steps, make a commitment, and then to report back with data. Then their stakeholder, the community, and understand they are doing AI responsibly, and taking a step-by-step approach. And when they just make more commitment in the future, then they're becoming a strategy and a comprehensive plan of how to behave will becoming really be translated into strategy, process, people, resources. Yeah.
Well, there's been so much talk, mainstream stuff about how AI will disrupt so many jobs and our lives in other ways. Give us your perspective.
Yeah, and first is just I will quote some data from others, and then I will talk about what I think. And from a recent study from IMF, where that's they were talking about by 2025, that's over 80 million jobs will be lost because of AI and automation, and especially Gen AI. And then in the meantime, that they also just in the same report claimed that there will be more than 90 million new jobs which don't exist now will emerge from AI. So as you can see, yes, and some jobs are going to be gone, and other jobs which don't exist now will emerge. And if it is a job category which is still very small and light, and in the near future becoming bigger and with a lot more opportunities. So then if you just go to the corporate strategy and also the individual strategy, and then what does that mean for corporate and for individuals? From the corporate side, naturally, and then when we are seeing, corporate really, have a very different future. I always say that, the most important AI model is really the business model. With AI, that any corporate need to redefine your business model because everyone else is doing things differently. If you still do it the same way, and even you continue to, in your way, which was right, and in the future you will lose, competition. So then redesign your business model with AI becoming the core of a business to success to continue. And that's one of very important concept is human machine collaborative intelligence, and how you use this as a framework redefine your business model and redefine your process, people, and the technology. And the second part is that how you can just lift your current employee, and through upscaling and all those kind of efforts, make sure that those new jobs which emerge from this process, and then those people who are still now in the job but their job are going to be eliminated soon, and then they can just be the people who take on those new jobs, still emerge from your organization, and then they can still keep the institutional memory, knowledge, capital, and then you can just reuse them, and then for it's a win-win situation. And then from the individual side, that's definitely seeing this machine and human collaborative intelligence, and how do you define your core skill set and reskill yourself and make sure that you have a role to play there, that to define the learning strategy, understand better opportunities of future trend, and get yourself embedded in the new collaborative way, and then bring value to the new workforce. I think those are very important.
Can you give me like a for instance, out there in the workforce today of a particular job or what somebody should be doing?
Yeah, definitely. And I think one of the very interesting part of the type of job is developer. And so when everyone think about AI is anyone who have an AI title, and naturally that you need to know coding. And a lot of folks in the past talk about a computer science job is the most secure job, and then that's computer science major is also the most popular for many years. And now that with Gen AI, a lot of codes can be generated by AI, and or especially Gen AI side. And then the type of work which a typical developer is doing in the future will be very different from now. Now that they are writing code, in the future, the code, their work will be enhancing the code, correct the code, review it, and bring, other elements, or maybe, combining the coding experience with, other industry experience to just becoming the creative part of the job. Now that is more as, the creative part is from the business, then they don't need to have that. They only need to code. So in the future, that if you're coding only, probably you don't have a role to play. So that's a very good example, and that really impact a large, job category.
Really, really significant there. So you have a startup accelerator program. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so when you just look at responsible AI, if our goal is by 2030, any AI will be responsible. Naturally, any of the building process, new product launch, need to have the make your AI responsible, which means that you need to translate that into how to using tools to just, for example, remove PII data to just make your AI preserve the privacy. And if your AI is just say result in large carbon emission, and how you can just find the tools and which can reduce your carbon emission for your AI. Similar thing from the security, safety, and then there are a lot of tools which are very important for AI to be responsible. But as a category, it's still emerging, and where that our accelerator is really, it was designed to, number one, identify what are the under each pillar within responsible AI, what are the emerging innovations which can really make AI responsible. Secondly, that using the accelerator program, give the right resources, help them to go to market, and then match them with the right demand, and help them to really just move from 0 to 1 or from 1 to 100, and then they can just add a category, and all a vertical can just emerge. Third part is that there are a lot of challenge for corporate to procure responsible AI related tools, because you make one AI system responsible, you may need 20, 30, even 100 different tools to procure different tools from different vendors. And then just imagine if you are a project leader and then develop one system, you need to procure 100 different software from 100 vendors. That is really not scalable, and that becoming a really big burden. So using the accelerator, and where that's we identify them, help them to scale, bring them to one single marketplace where that's then they can be found, and then can be procured easily. That can address a lot of corporate related challenge to make their AI responsible.
What are your thoughts about the real good that can come from AI, the societal benefits?
There's ton, and I think just at a higher level, categorically thinking, where that's we as a human being living on Earth, and we can see this Earth as a system. When the question is, when the system collapse, that is basically the accumulation of too much cost. If the system is not efficient, if the system has a lot of trust related issue, if then the cost make the system is not just so redundant, and then the system will collapse. And what AI bring into our world is that improve efficiency. And with, for example, AI and Gen AI now, that many human productivity are enhanced dramatically, and one person can do like a 5-person's job in compared with the past, and one company can just do a lot more. And with this kind of productivity gain, efficiency gain, and then naturally that we can just really prolong the history of, or make the system to be more resilient. That's more at a higher level. And then, of course, if you just look at each industry, at each different use case, and AI bring a lot of new values. So that's why, again, go back to the most important AI model is business model. And then that's applied to corporate, that apply to human that apply to government. When you bring in AI, naturally you bring a new way of doing things, and then we have already seen other efficiency gain, which are benefiting many people. Yeah.
Will we humans have to be working less because of AI?
Yeah, this, we need to just bring the time into this question. And then, what is the timeline are we looking at? So naturally that's, if in the long run, and I truly believe, yes, and a human need to have more time for leisure and working hours. And then, if you go back to, those idealistic philosophers and political scientists and all that, when they were, a long time ago talking about the future of humanity, they were talking about, any humans are able to just allocate time to do what they want to do, not what they have to do. So I think with AI, naturally, that's we are entering into or have the opportunity to just be closer to that level. But along the way, that's it's not just right way we are there. And now that we have seen, I share with you before this, and I'm using AI. And next week is my Chicago AI week-long program. I sit here for the whole week, didn't go out, didn't move, working like 18 hours a day just to get things done and all that. So I think in general, is the timeline is important, and in the short run, and AI make us more productive, make others, our partner, productive, and that give us more requests for us to do more. So that's not necessarily translate into larger time, but that does give us the possibility in the future where that's we can really do what we want.
And looking at the dark side of the moon, so to speak here, what are your biggest concerns about AI and what could happen if you aren't successful, you and others, in this kind of endeavor?
Yeah, I think the biggest concern for me is really that AI are going to be developed not benefiting human, and that's my ultimate fear, and where that's AI becoming their own consciousness, and where that's a human, if you just look at the three principle for robotic, and naturally that's three principle were defined that human benefit is the number one, and but in the future, if that principle are not followed, and then humanity really can be in crisis. That's the broader, and then one level down, when you just look at currently, if you see the most exciting AI development is around the Gen AI, and the Gen AI related large language model training and are highly costly. And before that, universities, research institutions are defining the research agenda, and for to serve as the consciousness of the society, and ask a question, trying to find answer in a more neutral way. And to define the research agenda is so important for the whole society. But with Gen AI becoming more dominating, large language model becoming a trend or the norm, and many of the research, all the research institutions cannot compete with the corporate. And there is a likelihood where that corporate will not only define the agenda for application, but also define agenda for research. And are they going to ask a question on behalf of the humanity or for their private interest? And if that becoming the driving force for the future of humanity, and that itself also worrisome. The third is around mass destructive weapons, and where that if AI is just a control weapon, especially at mass destructive level, and that can cause tremendous challenge for human distinction, and that itself, I think, so that's why within AI 2030, we have several fellows whose work are around, and to define the list where where AI shouldn't be entering into or should limit the type of work enter into that, and make sure that AI still just benefit humanity. Yeah.
Fascinating. Where can people go to follow the work that you and the organizations are doing?
Yeah, there are a number of ways, and if anyone who are in Chicago and next week join our Chicago AI Week, and that's go to chicagoaiweek.com and join our conference. You'll meet all our peers and fellows, exciting discussions, or you can just go to our website, AI2030.org, and you'll find all the initiative that's and people and all that what we are doing. Or you go to LinkedIn and find me, and then a lot of our reports, current thinking, and are published there. And one example is that we have Jerry, and who just published this AI 2030 watch, and the monthly review of the AI court case, and where that is fascinating to just see who are being sued for what, and many big names you can see, and I think that will give people a lot of insights and say what to be watching and looking at, and also what kind of problems that they should be focused on in their job or in their broader learning process. Yeah.
Terrific. Again, it's AI2030.org. Xiaochen Zhang, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thank you very much. Really, I enjoyed this conversation. Thank you.